Hi everyone, welcome back. Or if you haven't seen me before, hi, I'm Meg. I do a mixture of sitting down chatty videos and vlogs currently. And today, with Record Store Day 2026 just around the corner, I thought it would be appropriate to go through my vinyl collection with you. So we only really got this vinyl system, which includes the vinyl player, two speakers, and I actually don't know what the thing is called, the control system. This is how bad I am with like anything technology related. um, we only really got it, I want to say a year, 2 years ago. So we haven't been like avid collectors for a long time. However, I think we are quite sensible with our collection. I'll be running through the entire collection in groups, and they are ones that are mine, ones that are my partner Kai's, and ones that we own together. And how we came about with that system is that we both like very similar genres, like the same bands, the same music. However, there are some genres that neither of us like. So I really don't like country, whereas Kai's really into that, and he isn't really the biggest fan of pop music, whereas I am. So the genres that we don't really cross over, we buy ourselves. However, if there's a vinyl that we've both really been wanting, we purchase it together, like split the cost. And that's how we've kind of ended up with these three groups. So even though like one will be his that I might particularly enjoy, it might have been a birthday gift, a Christmas gift, or just something that he bought on a whim and therefore is his technically, but we both enjoy it, if that makes sense. So this is where the backdrop's going to get a bit messy now, and I'm going to start pulling out the groups. So we'll start with mine. I like to think that my music taste is quite varied. However, when I was looking through my collection in writing notes for this video, I realised that it's not really that varied. So some of them I did purchase quite a while ago when I was in my teens. So we're talking like 10 years ago, and I had a little Urban Outfitters, suitcase style vinyl player, and it did actually do some damage to these vinyls. I wasn't really clued up on how to put the needle down properly, and some of them are a little scratched, but to be fair, to say that I didn't have a clue with what I was doing, they are in pretty good condition. I think these were all purchased from Urban Outfitters as well. So we have Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds, Amy Winehouse Back to Black, The XX, and this makes me laugh because it still has the price tag on, and I don't know if it's focusing, but it says Urban Outfitters £18. I think this vinyl now retails for like, it's between 20 to 30 pounds. I think like 25 to 27 might be a bit more specific, but £18. And this one is what I would consider a relic. It is The Slaves' Are You Satisfied? And of course, Slaves have changed their name now to Soft Play because of the inappropriate nature of the name. So I wonder in a few years' time if this will be actually worth something because it has the old band name on it. I think those vinyls are very telling of the time, like 2016, 2017, maybe even 2015, these were purchased, like my proper teenage indie era kind of vibe. Now onto the more random ones. I grew up listening to these songs, and my music taste is very heavily influenced by my grandparents. They do actually like quite a few genres, but my grandma especially likes Motown and Frankie Valli, which is how I've ended up with these. So these ones are more like reminiscent of my childhood, I guess. And yeah, they've always had such a prominent influence on my music taste. So I'm very into the Bee Gees as well. I mean, I think I was like 10 and I had one of those like Walkman CD players, and my grandparents got me Bee Gees' Greatest Hits. Like, what 10-year-old wants that album? But I loved it, and I would love to get a Bee Gees vinyl, like Greatest Hits vinyl. So we have one compilation, which is, it says disco Joff loves big disco sound. I'm guessing he put it together, I don't know. But on there is kind of the classics like ABBA, Stevie Wonder, the Gibbs, obviously from Bee Gees, Elvis Presley. Yeah, some old but classics and like kind of well-known ones. Then we have a Motown Magic compilation vinyl. These both were purchased from charity shops, and I think having an element of like an older music taste has its benefits, because you can find vinyls like these so cheap. Like the disco one was 50p. I think this one was like a quid. Again, this has Stevie Wonder, Diana Ross, Supremes, Temptations, Four Tops. And then, please don't ask me how, but I've ended up with not one, but two Sound of Music soundtracks. I think I purchased this one with forgetting that I'd already had the other one, but that one was £2. The one before was 50p. Again, charity shop finds. And the Sound of Music, again, is so prominent in my childhood. I used to have the soundtrack on tape, and I used to put it into my Barbie karaoke machine and make my grandma sing it. And I would sing along. So yeah, again, just reminiscent of childhood. And then I have the Four Seasons. This is a Four Seasons story. It's got all the classics: Sherry, Big Girls Don't Cry, Begging. Yeah, absolutely love Frankie Valli. Now onto my more indie side. I have an indie hits compilation album. My mum got me this for Christmas. Next I have Gary by the Blossoms, and this is the Manchester edition, so I will show you the disc. So as you can see, it was a clear disc, and these were only released to the more independent records shops in Manchester, so Piccadilly Records is where I purchased this. I love the album. I think it's so fun. And, you know, considering the kind of random music that I do like, I think you can see why I like the Blossoms, because they do have quite like a 60s, 70s sound sometimes, as well as being quite modern. I can imagine all the people who are like avid record collectors, if you come across this video somehow and see me holding the records, you'd be like, oh no. But does it matter? I don't know. And finally, for the more indie, I guess, people would probably have my neck for saying that the 1975 are indie. I remember that whole argument when it was like 2016 and everyone was, you know, arguing that they were pop or indie. Who knows? But I have the 1975 still at their very best live from the AO Arena, and this was in 2024, and I actually went to, I think it was the day after this recording actually, and yeah, I really wanted to get this album because obviously I was there, maybe the day after, but I was there, and it was also the last concert I went to before I was diagnosed with cancer, so it always holds a special place in my heart, and I just love the 1975. I think I used to pretend that I didn't, but I really, really do. Now moving on to the more pop side of my music taste, I have, of course, Harry Styles. This is his Fine Line album, and I also do have Harry's House. The disc for Fine Line is absolutely beautiful. Let me just show you. So it is the kind of clear and black spotty disc, and yeah, it's beautiful. I don't have his self-titled album on vinyl yet, however I will be purchasing that at some point or putting it on my birthday or Christmas list. And of course his new album will also be purchased. You can be assured of that. Next I have SZA SOS album. Again, I would love more of her music on vinyl. I think it is such easy listening. Next, of course, the Queen, Charlie XCX with Brat. I could not purchase this vinyl. To me, Brat was such a movement that I feel will be in kind of music history, because it was everywhere for that year. I think it was 2024, wasn't it? I remember because I was in hospital and I couldn't have my brat summer. I was gutted. But even going into 2025, it was still everywhere. Like, it was just huge. And of course, I'm really glad that she was finally getting the recognition that she deserves. I think the Crash album could have done brat things, but I just don't think people appreciated it enough. Anyway, yeah, I feel like having Brat on vinyl is like a piece of history. I feel like that's one that, you know, the grandkids are going to flick through my collection like I do with my grandparents, and they're going to be like, what is this? And play it, and it's just going to bring back all the memories of how iconic the moment was. Next we have Justin Bieber's Swag, and again, such easy listening. I don't know, to me it feels like a different side of Justin Bieber that we've kind of been waiting for, and I feel like it is really authentically him. So as an old JB fan, I really enjoy that. And finally we have Years and Years Communion on vinyl. This is now please, I'm gonna butcher this word, but I think it's a zoetrope. I think that's how you say it, where the kind of image like dances as it spins around. You know what I mean? Sorry, I'm not really showing off these vinyls in the best of light. But this album has been so influential to me. I think I was 14, 15 when it came out, and me and my friend loved it. And I think I have such a connection to the album because it reminds me of him and being young. And then when this specific vinyl was released last year for Record Store Day, I just had to have it. Like, it is such an important album to me. And I was thinking, like, no one, you know, Years and Years, like, is that really a big thing anymore? And they sold out of the album just as we had made it to the door of the shop. We'd been queuing for 4 hours, bear in mind. And it had sold out, and I was heartbroken. I was like, oh my God, I love this album. Like, I deserve this album on vinyl. Obviously, everyone deserves to buy what vinyls they want, but I was just so upset. And thankfully, I was paying for the vinyls at the same time as another lady who was asking the person on the desk about the vinyl, saying, look, I love this album, I really need it. And I was listening thinking, me too, girl, like. And she, bless her, I think she was like close to tears. And the guy said, oh, there's a vinyl shop in like Ancoats where I don't think people really know about it, and they specialise in pop, so I reckon they will have it. I was like, right, where is this place? And we walked all the way up there. I say all the way, it's not too far from town at all, but it is now my favourite record shop. I absolutely love it. It's called Vinyl Fetishes, and I think they've just recently expanded as well, but it's a lovely little shop in like a storage container, and yeah, it just has all pop music, basically, new and old. I love it. And they had so many stuff. I think we actually messaged them on Instagram and was like, please say you have this vinyl, and they did. And yeah, we rushed up there, got the vinyl, chatted to them, and yeah, that is the story of how I came to have that vinyl. Lastly in my collection is the K-pop genre, which I'm hoping to expand. I have Ruby by Jennie. Of course, as you could probably imagine, the disc is red. And I have Golden by Jungkook. And one thing I love about K-pop albums is, yes, they are expensive, but it is an experience. Like, of course, you get the vinyl or the CD, whichever you buy, but then you also get like a concept photo book. You get, I think this one came with like little postcards that said like Jungkook on and his little logo. It came with a wax seal and a photo card of them. And 10 years ago, when I used to really be into BTS and I got my first BTS album on CD, obviously I was buzzing to get a photo card. 10 years later, you know, 26 years old, engaged, I was kind of like, where am I going to put all these pictures of Jungkook and not look weird? But that the whole idea of like this, the albums having such a strong concept image, vision, and that you get to be part of that by opening it. It just feels, yeah, like such an experience. And to me, that's worth the price. And to be fair, the album wasn't even that expensive. I think it was like £42, which for a K-pop album, you know, is relatively cheap. Some CDs can be like 80 quid upwards. It's wild. And I've always liked K-pop. Like, I've always been really, really invested in BTS, kind of like how I was with One Direction, but a few years later. And, you know, really liked BTS, and then the odd song by different artists here and there. But I really find with Jennie's album Ruby that it's more palatable for people that aren't necessarily into that genre. There are some amazing collaborations on that album, you know, like there is Childish Gambino, Doechii, Dua Lipa, so many that I think puts K-pop on the map in, you know, the Western countries. I just love it, and I feel like her Coachella performance of Jennie was what threw me back into K-pop. I kind of like wasn't really paying attention with, you know, BTS going into the military, and then didn't really listen to any other groups. And obviously K-pop's kind of, it works in generations, doesn't it? So like not many of them actually release music anymore, and I think EXO were also on hiatus at the same time as BTS, so I didn't really have anything new to listen to, so I kind of just stopped. Saw Jennie's performance, was obsessed with that album, and then discovered BTS's solo music. That makes me sound like such a fake fan, but I don't know why I wasn't bothered by their solo music until 2 years later, and then became obsessed with Jungkook's Golden. I think it's such a great album, and to me it kind of gives the vibe of Justin Timberlake. I'm kind of gutted that it's all in English and he hasn't written any of the songs. I feel like Sugar from BTS has a kind of like really intense involvement with his solo music. Like, it's kind of like a release to him. All his songs are written by him, I think. And yeah, you can really see the personal side to it. Whereas Jungkook, I feel like he's just been handed these songs. And yes, I think he says in the documentary about it that, like, yes, these songs have been written by someone else, but he has used his voice to change that and like put his own spin on it, which I completely respect. Love the music, love the sound, but it would have been nice to kind of get to know him through his own solo music. So I'm really hoping in their comeback that that's kind of what we hear from them. Sorry, huge K-pop rant. I guess you're probably not interested in that, but so that is all my personal collection, and now I will go on to the collection that I share with my partner. So a good few of these are from Record Store Day last year, which I will go through now. And I think Record Store Day kind of really threw us into the shared collection because there was some that we both really wanted. So we thought, yeah, let's just, you know, split the cost kind of thing. So we have Post Malone's Tribute to Nirvana. This is a great album. I think it's actually live. I'm not sure where, it doesn't say, but maybe it says on the thing inside actually. But yeah, this is a lovely, lovely album and recording. I think he sounds great, and I've always loved Post Malone. So the fact that it's Post Malone and Nirvana together, perfect. Next, we have a Fleetwood Mac picture disc, and this is also the picture that's on the other side of the disc. This is the front. And I think more or less every year Record Store Day do release something Fleetwood Mac related. We just didn't have one in the collection, so that's why we purchased. Obviously we love the album, but we just didn't have one at home to listen to, so we decided to buy that one. My grandparents have so many Fleetwood Mac. Like, they have like Silver Springs, everything from like first, second releases, and they would be worth, I think we actually looked into it and their collection is worth so much money. I'm so jealous. But they will never give up their vinyls, bless them. They love them and listen to them on the reg, so fair play. Next we have Kasabian. This was such a big part of my childhood, this album in particular. Me and my partner also saw Kasabian together, so Kasabian holds a place in both of our hearts. Lastly, from Record Store Day, we have Jamiroquai, and we weren't actually going to buy this, and we'd left the shop, but then we went back because of how beautiful the disc was. Let me show you. It doesn't really show up on camera, the like accurate colours, but it's this gorgeous turquoise with white flecks, kind of like the colours of the album artwork. But this album, again, I remember my mum listening to Jamiroquai and love a bit of groovy music, you know, so we decided to share that one. Some other vinyls that we share, we have a Lana Del Rey one. Love this album. I actually got him into Lana Del Rey through this album because he'd never really listened to her before, and I was like, you do know she's like really chill, kind of, could you say country influenced? I don't know. I kind of hear it in this album a little bit, and played it for him and he really liked it, and technically this is his vinyl, as he just came home with it one day, like he just bought it and was like, surprise. But yeah, I say we share it because I love Lana. I want every single one of her albums on vinyl so bad. We have Arctic Monkeys' Favourite Worst Nightmare. Great album. 505. Beautiful song. Tame Impala, Currents. And lastly, we have Fontaine's Romance. This album, to me, again, this felt like a movement. Like, when this came out, the hype around it was so big and so well deserved. Like, it is such a lovely album. And again, I think it's because the concept around the album works so well, like their kind of style that they had on stage and the colours, like it was really, you know, eye-catching, vibrant, and it was a big switch from like their previous album covers styles without sounding too different, which I really liked. We both really love this album, and we did have tickets to see them live to perform this album, but unfortunately I was unwell and we could not go, and I'm still heartbroken. Now I will move on to just my partner's collection. In his collection is a complete mix of genres. There's country, there's dance, electronic, like, yeah, and some of them I really do not know, like never heard of, bought them as gifts for him but never heard the music, and some that I do enjoy, so I'll start with those ones first. Starting with Fred again, he has the Actual Lives 1, 2 and 3. I know the occasional song of these ones, but I think we do agree with Fred again. I like a really heavy sort of like drum and bass sort of dance music. He's very into like techno, electronic kind of vibe, so we are very different when it comes to like the dance music that we like. He also has Secret Life with Brian Eno. Some of the more classic indie stuff, we have Cortinas. I am a fan of Cortinas, but I don't really know too much of this album. We have Another Fontaine's Skinty Fear. Gorgeous album. Really good live. Got Stone Roses. For Oasis, we have the Definitely Maybe holographic album art. I don't know if that's really showing up on camera. And he also has the LP with Some Might Say and Talk Tonight on. I don't actually think our vinyl player can play LPs, but I think he got it as kind of like a collector's item. And also from Record Store Day last year, he got the Time Flies collection. It is a collection of all the Oasis singles from 1994 to 2009, and each vinyl is kind of like a different colour. They are gorgeous colours. This was, I think, like £99 on Record Store Day, which we should have just waited for the hype to go down, because I think it's 20 quid cheaper now, but I think we were worried that it was going to sell out, and with it being what we thought was a collector's item, but I think they have repressed it. Some more Arctic Monkeys. He has a classic album, Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not. He actually ended up with 2 of these because I didn't realise that he already had one. I think he bought it himself, and I told my mum to get him it for Christmas, and we were listening to it. I think, what was it for Christmas or his birthday? Might have been his birthday, but we were listening to it, and then in this pressing of the album there's a song that skips. So we'd listened to a majority of this album until this point when it kind of skipped a little bit. And we looked at each other and thought, that skip sounds familiar. And then we looked through and was like, oh, we already have this one. And then we played it and it skips in the same place. How strange. And then he also has Arctic Monkeys Live at the Apollo. I think this is actually worth something. I don't know. Now for the last few ones that I know of, we have the Kanye and Jay-Z album and also Kanye's first album. Controversial, I know, sorry. The Streets, Soft Play's first album as Soft Play. Another The XX album you can't really see. You can also see the mountain of books I've using as a tripod in the reflection. This came with a CD as well, which I thought was a really nice touch. And then Over Mono. I say I know Over Mono. I don't actively listen to them, but like I'm aware of that album. A few of the older genres, we have the Travelling Wilburys. Again, I think I know like one song by them, but I think the Travelling Wilburys were kind of his childhood sort of music. We have a Bob Dylan Greatest Hits. This is a great album and kind of got me into Bob Dylan. We have Bob Marley Confrontation, which this album actually never came with a sleeve. So I'll show you the disc. It is a picture disc. Yeah, so it was never released with a sleeve or album artwork, but I think that one is worth a fair bit of money, so it was a good find. And then we have this one. He bought this for, I think, £1 in a charity shop. It is the heaviest vinyl ever, but it is a recording of the Halley Orchestra in Manchester, and they are residents at Bridgewater Hall, I think. It is the most spooky vinyl I have ever heard. The way it crackles and like the violins or whatever, the strings in it is so creepy. I hate it. I swear it's cursed. I don't want it anywhere near me. I don't want to play it, but for some reason he felt compelled to buy it, so last few ones, we have Bicep, the Isles album. I'm aware of Bicep, but not specifically this album or any songs on it, I don't think. For Those I Love, I have never heard of these. Kingfisher. These aren't too bad, to be fair. I don't mind this when he plays it. Noah Khan, of course. I'm aware of Noah Khan and his popular song, but don't really know many others. And People Watching by Sam Fender. I'm so sorry. I am not a fan of Sam Fender. I don't know why. I'm really not keen on him and his music. I'm sorry. Controversial. And finally, it's kind of cut off, but it is up here. I will grab it. This is a custom vinyl that I made Kai for our 5-year anniversary, and you can choose the songs that you want on it. So I put a Kasabian, Sticky Fingers and Wilkinson song on there, but I made the album art myself with like things that are relevant to our relationship, and then made the back cover also. And this one is also a picture disc. I will show you. So I got the vinyl, and they also printed the sleeve for me from Vinyl Art Co. And you can do different sizes. You can do an LP size, you can do an actual, I can't remember what size, 12-inch vinyl, and then the one in between, which I went for. And yeah, they print, you can basically just write the songs that you want and they source them. You don't have to find and download the songs yourself. I did make the cover art on Canva, and then you can just upload it like a picture and they will print that. And yeah, the whole process ordering that vinyl was fantastic. It was so smooth. I really recommend if you want like a personal gift. So that is absolutely everything that lives here in our vinyl collection. I hope that you enjoyed, and if you are into vinyls, I hope you are looking forward to Record Store Day 2026. I'm actually not a huge fan of the list for this year. I don't think there's many that we will be going for compared to last year. We kind of went all out, but I'm sure over time this collection will expand, and hopefully one day we will have a collection as huge as my grandparents'. That is what I aspire to have. Vinyl collecting is such a great hobby. It's something nice to share with each other, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for joining me. And I also do have a CD collection, I forgot to mention, with my little pink CD player here. So let me know if you would be interested in going through my CD collection. I do have some specific rules for myself regarding the CDs. So yeah, let me know if you would like that. So I hope to see you in the next ones. Bye!